Don't make that mistake.
Only legal counsel was available.
It's like Glenda Jackson.
Linda Jackson, exactly.
Yeah, she misread the, and she was running as, running for re-election as mayor and didn't make it on the ballot.
Oops. And then they wouldn't let her run as a write-in either.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Reading is fundamental. Very special diet.
Okay, is everybody ready?
Yes.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the mayor and board of trustees of the village of Burr Ridge for Monday, August 24, 2026. Russ, since you're near, Russ, can you do the pledge for us?
Yes.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please. First of all, before we do that, I need a motion to allow trustee Paveza to attend by phone. He had a sudden illness today that makes it not possible for him to attend. Under those circumstances, I think it's okay that we let him attend if we have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, welcome, Al.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Here.
Trustee Schiappa?
Here.
Trustee Paveza?
Here.
Trustee Snyder?
Here.
Trustee Matal? Here. Trustee Smith?
Here.
Mayor Grasso?
Here.
Everyone's here.
Takes us to the consent agenda, and, oops, sorry about that. An item shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one trustee or anyone present at the meeting. Those items marked with an asterisk are considered to be on the consent agenda. A roll call shall be taken on the approval of the consent agenda and recorded in the minutes as an omnibus vote. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be discussed by the board, opened for public comment, and voted upon during this meeting. 5 minutes. A, approval of regular board meeting of July 27, 2026. B, receive and file plan commission meeting of August 3rd, 2026. And C, receive and file plan commission meeting of August 17, 2026. 6 ordinances. A, approval of an ordinance granting site plan approval and special uses to permit 1, a fence in a non-residential district, 2, a daycare center, 3, an accessory use customarily incidental to the daycare special use to permit an outdoor playground in accordance with zoning ordinance sections 7B, 8, 4J2, and 7C2. Z11 2026, 766 County Line Road, Goddard School Systems. Why do I know the address? Sounds familiar. Okay. 7, resolutions. B, approval of a resolution approving a preliminary plat of Madison Reserve Subdivision, 6221 South Madison Street. And C, approval of a resolution regarding the need for confidentiality of closed session minutes. 8, considerations. D, approval to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving a rezoning from R1 residential to R2B residential, Z06 2026, 8101 County Line Road, B&R Family Limited Partnership. E,
Remove.
Remove E?
Please.
Thank you. F, approval to remand a petition to the Plan Commission Z10 2026 V04 2026 15W 400 North Frontage Road, Thinkbiner Equipment Company. G, approval of contract award to Dixon Engineering of Greenfield, Wisconsin for design engineering and contract management of the North Elevated Storage Tank Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $156,230. H, approval of spending ratification for emergency brush pickup services with Kramer Tree Specialists of West Chicago in the amount of $26,400. I, approval of award of contract for the annual brush pickup program with Kramer Tree Specialists, Inc. of West Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $28,863. J, approval of authorization to accept new lease vehicles from Enterprise. K, approval of agreements with 65th North Group of Las Vegas, Nevada for operational assessment services. L, approval of Q1 fiscal year 2027 budget amendments. M, approval of vendor list dated August 10, 2026 for the fiscal year 2027 in the amount of $799,604.25 for all funds, plus $301,764.02 for payroll ending July 18, 2026, for a grand total of $1,101,368.27. And finally, N, approval of vendor list dated August 24, 2026 for the fiscal year 2027 in the amount of $987,492.22 for all funds, plus $303,921.35 for payroll ending August 1, 2026, for a grand total of $1,291,413.57. With that, can I get a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda? 5A, B, and C, 6A, 7B and C, 8D, F through N.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Give the second to Anita. And any discussion at the trustee level? Any discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Siapa?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
6-0.
6-0, the motion passes. That takes us on the consent agenda. Let's go to 8E. 8E is approval to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving a variation for a reduced setback for a covered deck V07-2026, 7310 Giddings Avenue, Kaplarevic. Trustee Tony, go ahead.
So, I saw that this was not unanimous vote with the Plan Commission. I read the minutes of the meeting, and looks like the two dissenting votes had a hard time finding a hardship for the petitioner. So I wanted to hear a little bit more, wanted the other trustees to get a little bit more information on this petition of, what exactly happened and how it got in front of us.
Janine, you want to go first?
Yes, good evening, everyone. We do have Commissioner Irwin here in the audience, who is happy to give the commissioner's perspective of the
Right.
meeting as well.
We'll speak with him next.
Sure. So correct, there was a split vote. It was a 5-2 to make a recommendation for approval of the covered porch, covered patio deck area to the rear. For the commissioners that voted in support of the request, they noted that the addition did look good. It is existing there, so it was built without the permit approval. So they noted that it looked good, it fit in with the area, did not appear to be a detriment to the area. But for the commissioners who did not support the request, to your point, Trustee Schiappa, they did have a concern about meeting the findings of fact, specifically for the unique situation for this specific property.
Okay. So, well, let's hear from the commissioner.
Hey, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. I don't have too much to add to what Janine said. I think that we struggled as to whether or not there was a hardship. I think that ultimately the majority, 5-2, decided that it met the findings of fact, the hardship, primarily due to the fact that they could do essentially the same thing by detaching it from the house and moving it forward, but that would be a detriment to the surrounding homes. It wouldn't look near as nice if they did that. Also, I think there was some consideration of the fact that during the building of the what's it called, the overhang, there was an inspection that took place, and nobody said during that inspection that you can't do this, and so that was a consideration that also came into play. But I think overall, everyone agreed that it looked good and that they would like to approve it. And some people just said by the letter of the law, they couldn't find the hardship.
But in fact, the 5 of them did find enough of a hardship. Fair?
We did.
Fair?
Yes.
Let's like, Tony, you want to go first and then we'll let Guy?
So, help me understand, what was the inspection for?
So there are multiple, this is a brand new single-family residence.
Okay.
So there are
So
a
that was a new
number.
construction home?
Correct, it was a new
Okay.
construction home. There were a number of inspections for that.
Okay, understood.
One was by the building department, or excuse me, our third-party building plan reviewer and inspector.
Okay.
So he was on the side, reviewed it, however, it met building code does not mean that it met zoning ordinance provisions. So this was actually discovered when the engineer did his final inspection and noted the covered porch and knew that that did not comply with the approved plans, did not meet the zoning ordinance regulation about the minimum setback requirement. So
Okay.
on the building end, met building code, on the zoning end, did not meet zoning code.
All right. Very good.
Got it. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I want to hear what the hardship is, so.
It sounded like the 5 felt that in order to do it, you'd have to basically deconstruct, reconstruct, and then it wouldn't look right in the neighborhood, and so that would actually hurt the neighboring properties, as I understand it.
Correct, and I do believe the petitioner is here this evening as well, who can.
And he built that overhang
Correct, yes.
without any prior approvals from the village of Burr.
Correct, yes.
So he built it
I
hoping.
mean, the house was approved,
Right.
but as part of those original plans, the deck was not covered. It was just an open deck, which is a permitted use that would be
Okay.
allowed in that location. The issue is that it is covered by a roof. So as Commissioner Irwin said, we could allow for, I'll call it like a gazebo in the backyard. If it met certain separation distances, that would be allowed to encroach into a rear yard setback, but this is attached to the house. So it has to meet that minimum 50-foot rear yard setback is the difference.
Okay.
And so by code, I think he could have had basically half of the roof that he has now. To get the 50,
Essentially,
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so there's a solution.
Well, no, the solution would be half of a roof. I don't
Right.
think, our moving it forward, which wouldn't look good in the neighborhood. It wouldn't look as good as what he has now. The solution
Now
would
you're
be
telling me there are 2 solutions.
2 solutions. One,
Okay.
cut the roof off and make it half of what it is now, which wouldn't look good and wouldn't serve its purpose. Or detach the whole thing and move it forward, which doesn't look as good as the way he has it set
Right.
up.
But he didn't follow the law, that's what I'm.
Correct,
That's what
the
I'm-
covered deck didn't receive
Okay.
prior.
It's just, it's happening a little bit more in the village than I would like to see. You know, this is, I think, our 3rd time it's come up to us here at the village, and I want to put an end to it. You know, this is not how we do business here in the village. So,
Guy?
What was the hardship with the land?
Well, the hardship was that, a lot of times we look at hardship, well, if you do it the way that you're permitted to do it, is it better or worse than the way you did it? And doing it the way he would be permitted to do it would be worse for the neighborhood.
Why would it be worse for the neighborhood? I mean, it's a roof. I mean, is everybody else's property values gonna go down?
I think it would look more obtrusive.
More obtrusive? So it's judgmental? Okay. So here we are again with petitioner coming in, building something without permission, without a variance, without a permit, and asking for forgiveness after the fact. It is not a hardship for him to tear that roof off and build it to code. It's a self-imposed hardship that he created for himself. This village didn't create it. So I'm very disappointed. This is what, this is the 3rd one. We had one last meeting as well. Is there a monetary penalty for an after-the-fact building permit?
So there is a monetary penalty. It depends on either it's a $750 fee or it's 150% of the cost of the permit, just depending on what's more.
To me, it doesn't seem like enough. So, but it could have easily been constructed to meet code, and unfortunately it wasn't. And again, I'm disappointed, trustee Scappa's disappointed. I'd like to hear from the other trustees. Thank you.
And then I have a question before we go there. Where's the builders in this whole process? Who build nice Burr Ridge homes? Where's their responsibility? To read the plans and understand our codes, and they build here regularly. I'll bet if we dig in, we'll find that this builder has built here before. Where do we hold the builder responsible?
So in this instance, I do believe, so the architect had designed the plans and there was the builder of the home, but I believe this was constructed by someone else. Is that correct?
I was the home builder.
So, okay, so the homeowner was the home builder, was the contractor in this instance, but the architect did not have it on the plans.
Is there electric power? Is there concrete foundation out there? Is there plumbing out there?
I do not believe that there is plumbing, but I believe there's electrical lighting for
So
it.
this homeowner did his own electrical?
I would have to defer to the builder. I don't know the specifics of that.
Okay, any other trustees
Slippery slope.
want to comment? Yes, Joe?
We have a third party, that guy goes out there, doesn't say anything to us, goes all along. Why I agree with my fellow trustees. Simple fact is, we hire a third party to go out. They don't tell us at the time what's going on. It goes all the way through, and then when it's all said and done, oh, by the way, this is wrong. So then it goes to the planning commission. Now we dump it back in their laps. So, well, you know, if we make a judgment, we can tear it apart, go to code, it's gonna look better the way it is. So I'm not sure if it's the builder's fault, homeowner's fault. We hired a service, okay? So if there's a penalty or something, the service that we hired should follow our laws and our code, not just go say, hey, listen, this is okay, and not the way we look at it. We didn't hire them to go their way, we hired them to follow our rules. So while I agreed, I have mixed emotions this way, because we dumped it again back in the planning commission's lap. And they're trying to come up with something, and just the way it goes.
Yeah, so did someone at our end miss this in the inspection?
Not necessarily. So
Okay.
Yes or no? It's not necessarily.
So we have the third party go out there, building inspector. We do see field changes. That is a common thing. So this was out there inspected by our third party. But he is not necessarily aware of a zoning ordinance regulation regarding the minimum setback requirement for the covered porch. That would not necessarily be something that he is looking at. I agree that he should have come to our office and probably told us, hey, we saw that the deck was covered. Our engineer did that though. So when he was out there following these final building inspections to do the final engineering inspection is when he noticed that and knew that that was an issue for zoning.
But if you have the third party go out there, aren't they supposed to be up to date on our rules and regulations? Because if they get to do what they want, they put us in this trick bag every time.
Well, if I may explain. So it's like you have a plumbing inspector and an electrical inspector.
I get it.
Okay. So if there's something wrong with the plumbing, the electrical guy doesn't know. Our inspector is following the code that is written by the Village of Burr Ridge. So
I hired you to do
the
this. I
light
hired you.
switches, the light fixtures, those are all in place correctly in conduit with the correct wiring, and there's a ground. That's all. So that's our code.
I agree.
What he violated,
The plans
what
didn't
he
have a roof.
violated was our zoning.
Plans didn't have a roof.
Right.
We went out there, there's a roof. Isn't that violated right away?
That not our code, it violates our zoning.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Yes, Russ?
Thank you. So as much as I disapprove of non-permitted work, I do agree with the commission, and I agree kind of where you were going, Mayor, that the look of the home is very nice. There was all approval from the homeowner's neighbors. There was no objection. They actually were very complimentary of the look of the home. Having said that, I don't know if this homeowner slash builder can walk out of this room without at least a fine, because we'd be setting a bad precedence if we just allowed homeowners and builders to just walk freely without having permitted work. So I would be okay with this if we assessed a fine on this non-permitted work.
Just let me follow up on that, just to get the answer. Is there anything we can anchor to? Is there a monetary, is there a fine we can assess for something like this that we have some guidance on? And if so, how much?
So it would be the, as I said,
Administrative
stated-
adjudicator is gonna determine that. You'll issue a citation,
Correct.
and then the adjudicator can levy a fine up to $750.
And the village can take a position at that hearing?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to find out what the process would be. So the process would be that if the board so chooses, we would issue a citation for the violation, then it would end up, and then our judge would decide if it's the maximum or less. But I do agree $750 is I mean, it's a check worth cashing today, but it's still not a lot of money if you want to. And I really want to start looking at situations where the builder is the owner. You know, we lose that buffer when the builder's the owner, because the builder knows, you know, the owner knows what the builder's going to build. And we don't have the builder coming in going, well, that's against the ordinance. So we have to look at that, and I don't want to micromanage everything, but sometimes when the builder is the owner, maybe we need an extra step. But that's for a later date. Let's go back to Guy.
So, following up on your point there, Mayor, the builder it's not on the plans, it's not on the approved drawings. So someone had to say, construct this, and draw a sketch or another drawing to show them how to construct it, okay? So there was more effort done behind the scenes. Yes, hold the builder's feet to the fire. Yes, hold the owner's feet to the fire. But Trustee Smith, I have to disagree with you. This is not a popularity contest. This is about a hardship with the land. What you don't see on that petition is the neighbors that don't care for it and agree that the owner should have followed the ordinance and should have not constructed without a permit. And one of the signatures on that petition is one of my neighbors in my subdivision on the other side of I-55 in a different county. So how is that even relevant? So to me, petitions like that, they don't mean anything. It's not about popularity. It's not about aesthetics. It's about the zoning and the zoning ordinance and a hardship with land. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Tony?
So the fine can be $750 or
less.
Or percentage of the,
of the building permit fee. So typically, we do see a $750 fine, because many of our permits, especially residential, are about $125. But for certain types of permits, and I'd have to see how this one was categorized,
Okay.
it could be 150% of that permit fee. So if the permit, you know, is exceeding the $750,
Okay.
it will exceed the $750. But as Mike Durkin was saying, you know, we can only charge a maximum penalty of $750 under the state statute, so. But for the building permit, we tack on that extra fee if possible.
Okay.
Al, did you want to say anything on this?
Well, I was first starting it. I don't see a major problem with it. It's not exactly right, but again, you know, that was on the consent agenda and it was passed by the Plan Commission.
So you're okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. Anita?
I was at the meeting, and I may be wrong, but I remember his father was also there, and he said something about the terrain of the land where.
His father, the builder's father?
Yes.
Okay.
And he said something about the terrain of the land, which made it very difficult to build a gazebo there. Something, I kind of remember that. But can you confirm that, or?
Yes, so
Why don't you come on up, just because that's where the TV is.
And then you put up a picture of the elevation.
could you please state your name too?
Matt?
Stefan Kaplervik.
So originally, we had a couple of changes on the back of the property that went through the village. So originally, when we had the engineering done for the site, the backyard, based off of where the deck was, had about a 1-foot pitch going all the way to the back of the property line, not giving me any space to be able to use it for the outdoor area. You know, to walk outside, runoff was gonna be a big issue because it was basically just a pitch right off of my property. So we did go in for permit and we added the retaining wall. So we raised this elevation of the surrounding deck with the retaining wall to lessen the slope on the property. So without, one, the retaining wall, you know, say if we were to build this based off of the code, or off of the zoning ordinance, this gazebo would be in the middle of my yard. So you're losing green space, you're losing, you know, you're just filling the backyards, is basically what the zoning is giving to people right now. You know, a 50-yard setback on these properties, especially this one, since it's a corner lot, a 50-yard setback is my house line. So there is no opportunity to do anything there. And I think that should just be changed for, especially this neighborhood, but any other neighborhood that has smaller lots. You have a 1-acre lot, there's a lot more room to do a lot of things with it. But, you know, in our neighborhood, you're basically telling everyone in our neighborhood, hey, you want to build an outdoor gazebo or a 3-seasons room or 4-seasons room, it's got to be in the smack dab middle of your yard, and you're losing all your green space, which I don't think is right either.
So what's the overhang that, are we seeing it right there in the picture? Is that it?
Yeah,
Right there?
this is the overhang right
Right.
here. And I also had submitted some drawings to the village for that.
So that overhang is what? 4 feet, 5 feet? What is it?
It's 13 feet.
13 feet? Okay.
Yeah.
Shows you what I know about building. Okay. All right. Yes, Joe?
So you said you submitted drawings for a permit for the?
This was after the fact. So we went through the building process, we got everything inspected. We submitted the final as-built to the village engineer. And then from there, that's when he assessed that the setback to have for a covered porch wasn't correct on the project. So that's why I had to go in for the petition.
When you bought the lot, you knew the setbacks, right? When you bought the lot, you're the owner builder.
Yeah.
You knew the setbacks, you were gonna build a gazebo. Okay, you were gonna build it in the green space, as you put it, and then decide, okay, I'll raise the land, and I'll just put it off the deck. Is that pretty much how it went?
Yeah, pretty much how it went.
And they said, oh, I guess I have to go back and attach it, and submit the permit after the fact. I'm just trying to go a timeline. You knew you were gonna put it in the middle.
No, so the timeline was, it was always up against the building or up against the home. The only thing that we did do was just lower the elevation and build the retaining wall so that, you know, the backyard wasn't on a 1-foot pitch going to the neighbors. So we did that, and then what I did was I added the roof to it. Wasn't thinking about zoning and setbacks at that time. We got it inspected, and then once we were going for the final with the village engineer, that's when it came up.
Your original, where you had it up, was there a separation between the building and the roof?
There was no roof originally. It was just supposed to be a deck.
Just a deck, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing attached?
Yeah, correct.
But it was this photo without the roof?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
And then, giving you a little lifeline here, from what I heard you say, you did not knowingly put a 13-foot roof on the deck, knowing that it was not permitted, without a variance.
Yes, correct, with the zoning.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't have asked, but, okay. Yeah, Joe?
It goes back out, we hired a third party to go out there, doesn't come back and tell us. And while I agree with trustee Francis and everyone else, everybody that fine is the only way, like, I hate to punish another Burr individual, but it's a situation where we hired someone,
Right.
back
And,
in our lap.
right, and I just want to follow up a little bit on what trustee Francis said. Did any of his neighbors, his neighbors, object to the deck, to the roof deck?
No, there were no objections received.
Okay. All right, I know where I'd be on this, but you have six minds. And so,
Okay, so
yes, Tony?
let's say we vote for it.
Well, okay, so you, let me call the question, we can have more discussion, we can hear from any residents, and then we can vote.
What does that make us look like? You know, oh, yeah, we can do that, we put a pool in,
Rubber stamp.
you know, we put a fence all the way around the house, build, you know,
Well, let's get a motion and see if there's a second, and then I think we have a discussion, and then we have a vote. I mean, that's, there's only 6 people in this village that get to vote, okay? So you're gonna be doing your job tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe 7, but it's never happened when I was mayor, on a substantive issue. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve, for approval to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving a variation for a reduced setback for a covered deck, V07 2026, 7310 Giddings Avenue?
So moved. Second. But-
We have a-
but-
we have a-
But can we also put the citation on it?
Maybe that's going to be part of the discussion, Joe. Let's just start right here. I hear you. So we have a motion and we have a second. So let's start at the board level first, as we traditionally do. Everybody has spoken on the subject, but if anybody else wants to add.
So, you know, $750, it doesn't hurt.
Well, that's not on, right now, that's not part of the motion, although
Right.
someone could make a motion to add that to it. So let's just talk about the deck.
Well, he can make it smaller, or he can move it out to the middle of his yard,
Or tear it off.
or tear it off. He's got 3 options.
Anita?
I think if you were to move it in the middle of the yard, that yard has a pitch. So I not that I know anything about construction, but I'm just wondering, where would he put it? So if he wants a covered space, I mean, from what I see from here, that is the only viable solution. And it actually blends with the house. If he were to do a freestanding gazebo, I think that would be more of an eyesore for the neighbors.
Yes, Russ?
I agree with trustee Mattel that if you move the structure in the middle of the grass, middle of the yard, now you're really kind of getting extremely close to the other homeowners. And though it's not a popular contest, no one put against this build. They're all for it. So that right there is a very attractive build. Yes, it was not permitted work, but that's why I made the motion to accept this.
Yes, Joe?
Would this been approved had the builder submitted it on the original plans?
I think the answer to that is probably because the Plan Commission 5-2 found a hardship.
Are you asking from a permitting question?
The builder goes in, the homeowner goes in, he has this on the drawings. Will we be here discussing this tonight?
This would not be approved under zoning, so no.
Okay.
Well, he could apply for a variance.
Right, which is what I just said.
The commission would vote probably the same way it did.
So he would need to go to the Plan Commission and get a variation approved. And the Plan Commission, 5 of them found
We're
a
back at the
hardship.
same, we're back at the same table.
Right. Anybody else? So my view of it is, it's 5-2. It's a full Plan Commission. We all know how thorough the Plan Commission is. They will take the time, no matter what, to analyze things. We have an unwritten rule of deference to the Plan Commission, I think for very good reasons. I'll take the owner-builder, and that bothers me a little bit, but I'll take the owner-builder at his word as a resident of Burr Ridge, asked a direct question by the mayor as to whether or not he knew what he was doing was wrong. He says no. I believe him. Five well-regarded commissioners found enough of a hardship to meet the law as would have been described to them and passed it. That doesn't mean it has to be unanimous. We have 5-2s, not infrequently, but we have 5-2s. So under all the circumstances, I would certainly understand if a majority of the board voted to approve it. So with that, anybody else want to speak? Al, did you want to get a last word in, or you ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, roll call, please.
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Any public comment? No public comment. Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Veza?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
No.
Trustee Francis?
No?
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
4-2.
4-2.
It passes. Don't do it again, please,
Sure.
and get the word out. And we do have to talk about this when we, because I think the points, and you ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw, understandingly, because as the two trustees pointed out, well, this is the third time we're dealing with something like this in 6 months, 7 months. So we're not getting the word out from the board that we don't want this to happen. So it has to stop. And let's go by the rules. And you know, we live in a great village. We're taking 45 minutes to talk about an overhang on a porch. You know, it's important, but these are the kind of issues that we get in a very special village. So, okay, thank you. Let's move on. All right, that takes us to resolutions. A, consideration of a resolution approving the First Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement between Goddard Real Estate Development Company, LLC, and the Village of Burr Ridge. Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, this is an amendment to our existing PSA with Goddard. At this point, the contingencies expired this week. If they approve, this would extend our PSA to December 26th of 2026. Basically, if Goddard does not achieve all of its goals by that deadline, they are technically in default of non-performance, and we can legally exempt them from the contract. So effectively, we'd have to start the entire sale process over as if this were not approved tonight. Just as a backup, we don't have any material, either the village attorney or myself, with the PSA itself. It really just adds time to the calendar in 2 60-day increments that they can elect to take. As of tonight, you've already approved the zoning for Goddard. We are pretty close to the easement language, and at that point, we're really off to closing. So we're really at the end of the stage of the process here. We're much closer than we are farther away. Plat is substantially complete. We'll be ready for approval at a future Master Village Hall meeting. The title review is also substantially complete between parties. So, as I said, we're much closer than farther to being able to sell Village Hall and close on the property. Again, if we don't approve this, we need to start entirely over with a new buyer. Thank you.
Any questions? I have a couple, but any questions? Yes, Tony?
Why the extension?
Okay, that's a good one.
Title review took longer than we anticipated. We're trying to get, it's the original subdivision actually from 1946. It actually predates the village. There was some pretty ancient language you didn't anticipate coming up. It's an out-of-town buyer. We had to get in-town counsel to help resolve that. Happily, that is resolved at this point. Title company has agreed to cover all those issues that we've got outstanding at this point, so those are covered and done with. That was the main delay at this point as to why the process didn't take less time.
Okay, thank you.
And I knew this was coming up, so one of our morning breakfasts, I asked Evan if there's any hiccup that we're not seeing, and the answer is no. There's not a hiccup we're not seeing. So this is kind of SOP at this point, but I do have a question. Why 260 days? Why can't we do 160 day?
I think, in my estimation, I actually asked for longer just because part of their performance is also to become all the way done with building permitting as well. That can take a couple of rounds. Many commercial permits take a couple of rounds just because they require occupancy, especially with a preschool, which we're gonna have here. There's a lot of additional occupancy requirements that they'll have to go through with the state. Those are out of the village's control, so I wanted to have a little bit extra time just for all parties. I didn't want a second PSA amendment come up in the future, so I wanted to make sure that Goddard had sufficient time to cover all bases at that point.
My experience, though, is, all of our experience is, if you give people enough time, they will take until the Christmas holidays, and then we're gonna get Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if there's no, Mike, if there's no reason to limit it to 60 days, with the understanding that if we see them progressing, obviously another 60 days isn't a problem, but I'm afraid we're gonna get to December and they're gonna go, well, it was Thanksgiving and now it's Christmas and here we are in February. So I'd like to see them keep going. Yes, I was part of all of that. Yes, there were two things in the 1946 plat that needed to be worked out, but it should have been worked out maybe a little faster than it did, and why they needed local counsel and why that took as long as it did. I'm a lawyer, I know, they got a big firm involved, and the big firm did all the things a big firm does, and took a lot of time. Unwarranted for what the two things were as far as I was concerned. But, so I'd be happier, and I would hope Goddard would understand, if we gave them 60 more days, and then if they needed another 60 days because we saw some progress, sure, right? We, as Evan said, we don't want to start all over again, and they don't want to lose the deal. But I don't want to be in December and get the holiday excuse. That's my position, but the six of you can decide. Yes?
How have they been performing with other terms of the contract?
I mean, I would say I'd use the zoning as an example. I would say they were, Commissioner Irwin is here, he certainly was here for the review. They were very receptive to the Plan Commission's requests for additional research to be done, for improvements to be made, relocate certain assets on the property. They were very open-minded to that stuff, and I think went above and beyond compared to what a normal petition would do. I think they've been very responsive in terms of what they can control. Again, we had to bring in the title company, which is not controlled by either party.
Right.
We've had to work with the state a little bit on some things, which again is neither party. And so I think to the extent possible, I can appreciate why they've taken the time they did. Doesn't mean you guys are not able to ask for a specific timeline. I'm not here to overrule that, but we've had no conversations where there's just mystifying answers and these things just don't make sense for no apparent reason. But there were some complexities in this deal that neither party foresaw. Had we had foreseen those or been aware of those things, I think we would have had a different deadline, frankly.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So you're pretty confident that if we give them 2 60-day periods, we won't be asked in Christmas time to extend it again? I know that you can't guarantee.
Yeah, I think I would just say there's just not a long list of things left to do. I mean, we've literally got parking easement language, we've got a resub, language on the resub that we're working on, just marking out some easements for things like sidewalks and things like that, and then it's building permit, and then we're closing. So, again, I can't predict the future, but as I said earlier, we're much closer than farther, and I think I would feel better if we had all 4 months at our disposal, just to make sure that we only had to do one more extension. I feel like another extension starts to look thorny as to, why is this being extended again and again and again? So I think this is what I'll call one more grace period, and then we'll be off to the races to sell it.
Okay. All right, so I would need a motion to approve resolution, a motion for a resolution approving the First Amendment to the PNS agreement between Goddard Real Estate Development Company and the Village of Burr Ridge.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion at the board? Excuse me. Al, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm in favor of it.
Okay, any questions from the public? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
6-0.
6-0, the motion passes. Okay, I've got an extension to December 26, 2026. That takes us to considerations A, consideration of Village Hall development.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our standing item on the Village Hall. As previously communicated, the bid for the new Village Hall has been released. We're making a lot of efforts to solicit interest from construction companies and the like. I do write in the staff summary the bid opening is scheduled for Wednesday, September 2nd. That will move back. The reason for that is because we're having significant interest from the construction community about bidding on the project, and many bidders have asked for more time to consider all the alternates and the like that we're asking for. As we've talked about throughout this process, part of this is about fixing some timely items at the police station that'll need to be fixed anyway. Things like lights, carpet, etc. Some very basic things are part of it, and those are all part of our alternate bid that we've put out. And again, we've had, I believe, 4 companies already ask for additional time, and so we want to give them all the time necessary to make sure they have an opportunity to submit a bid. The more bids we get, the better we'll do as a village. So we'll be working to establish a new bid deadline with our architect and our owner's representative. We have brought on Concertus. Concertus is a local company that's got nationwide expertise to be our owner's representative. We are going to bring forth a contract to work with Concertus as our owner's rep at the September 14th board agenda. An owner's rep, for lack of a better term for those who are not sure, is simply the company that's there to represent the village on an executive level to manage both the bidding process as well as the construction process. We have great staff, however, we just don't have the bandwidth and the expertise to do a project of this magnitude and complexity ourselves. And I feel better. They've already provided a lot of value through the pre-bid process to date, and it's been a great working relationship. We're going to be working with them to evaluate the received bids and determine an appropriate bid award date and a groundbreaking timeline. A lot of factors we're working on right now. Winter is coming up. Winter conditions is something we need to consider. We're working with them to consider what that might look like, but that is in process. I'm also noting there's a pre-bid meeting that occurred with interested parties on August 19th. If you're familiar with our police training room, we had standing room only in that room, out into the foyer. So again, interest is significant and positive in this project. I think it's a great project to have Burr Ridge on your resume, and so companies appear to be motivated and interested in putting in bids, and all are part of the project at large. So I think we've had a great start to the bidding process. Again, as I note here, we're going to be moving the bid opening back by 2 weeks to assure sufficient time for bid review and contract negotiations occurs, both appropriately and thoroughly for the village's benefit. And again, that'll be done in concert with legal, our owner's rep, and the like. So we'll be bringing that back to you in the next few weeks or months.
Any questions? Al, any question?
No.
Owner's rep, good idea. I've had experience with that before. When I lived in Western Springs, I was on the library commission when we were rebuilding that library to what it is today. And the owner's rep, which was a new concept then, was recommended to us. That individual saved us substantial funds and caught substantial issues for us. And so I think it's very good. It's usually someone retired or semi-retired or a company that does this for a living, and they're going to be our eyes and ears at the site and will work in our interest to make sure that everything's not only done right, but done within the right budget. So I think in the long run it'll save us money. I shouldn't say that because I haven't seen the bill yet, but so I think it's a good idea. All right, so that will stay on the agenda for the next meeting. That will take us to item B, 8B, consideration of no plan commission recommendation for a site plan for an addition to the police department, along with variations for parking, landscape berms, and building height, VO6, 2026, 77 County Line Road, Evan Menk, Village of Burr Ridge. Evan?
I'm gonna pass it to Janine.
Janine?
Thank you.
Good.
Plan Commission held public hearings on July 20th and August 17th regarding the Village Hall addition onto the Police Department. As was stated, is for the requests before you tonight are for site plan approval, which every development in the transitional zoning districts does require a site plan approval, and also 6 variations. The variations are for parking in front of a building, parking in the front yard, parking in the corner side yard, a building within the minimum 100-foot required front yard setback, less than the minimum 15-foot wide landscape area between the parking areas and the corner side lot line, and a building exceeding the maximum height permitted from 30 feet to 34 feet 3 inches. Public comments were received at the first public hearing, and the public generally expressed comments and concerns about the parking capacity, the size of the building in relation to the size of the site, stormwater management, the building's ability to house community meetings and simultaneous events, and a desire for energy efficient or eco-friendly construction. The Plan Commission was generally supportive of the addition onto the police department, but did express concerns about the adequacy of the parking, stormwater management, the number of variations requested, and the variation requests themselves meeting the findings of fact or the standards. A hardship was found by some of the commissions for this being a public facility. The Plan Commission voted 3-1 to recommend that the Board of Trustees approve the request. There was also a motion to deny the request, which was a 1-3 vote, so just the opposite of that. A minimum of 4 affirmative votes is necessary to pass, so essentially no recommendation was put forward by the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission did want to note, however, that they recommended that engineering and stormwater management exceed what is currently in place, exceed the minimum code requirements, and be overall a general improvement to the area. So I can take any questions, and again, Commissioner Irwin is here to answer questions.
Anybody have a question? Yes?
So the stormwater management currently on the drawings, what is currently engineered, it is at the minimum, or is it at 10% above what's minimum requirement?
I would defer to, we have Tom Hill with Terra Engineering, who has been working on the plans, and of course we have our village engineer, Dave Preissig, and assistant village engineer, Tom Farinack, who could better answer those questions than I could.
Who can answer that question?
I can answer that.
Thank you.
Don't we want to hear from Dave?
Tom Hill, Terra Engineering. We have designed the site using a unit area method approach, which has a volume requirement of 0.95 acre feet, and we are exceeding that by 10%. However, this is a reduction from the volume that was provided in the previous project.
What does that mean in English?
It means as your consultant, I'm trying to get as small a detention basin as I can, because we're putting this volume underground, and it's going to be very expensive to do that. So ultimately, David and I are going to work through this together and work this out, but at the moment, that's where the design is currently at.
Okay, we've had a summer of unusual rains. How would we have fared, in your opinion?
I've looked at that system, and Burr Ridge saw, I believe, 3 very substantial events. A couple of them were 2-year storms. One of them was just about a 10-year storm. And all of those would have been encompassed within the detention basin as it is right now, and as it would be in the proposed condition.
Okay.
Can you clarify what you mean by a reduction from the previous project, a reduction from the current facility?
Yes, the current facility has 1.21 acre feet of storage. And David and I have discussed this just a little bit, and you did send me the calculations. I just already said that there's a unit area figure in there that I'm not sure where the previous engineer got it from. But we are trying to show a minimal storage in there. But as Dave said, there may be some concerns with DuPage County for reducing that, but that is the proposal that we made at this point.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Anita?
So to piggyback on your comment, that was my concern too, that the weather patterns are changing and the rain we had this year was ridiculous, for the lack of a better term. And right now, we have the so-called land that we're gonna use to build the village hall to hold that water. But once we have hardscape all around, where will that water go? So if we have an increase, then what is, I mean, I wanna say that we should budget for 150 times what we had this year. Maybe that's wrong, but we need to have a plan that, what if we have an exceptional year? Who knows if the weather patterns are here to stay?
The climate is indicating warmer weather and more severe storms.
Right.
That is true. As for the detention bond that's provided, there is a range of what's required from state to state, from county to county. There's a lot of breadth, and with this project, we're trying to follow code, is the focus that we're taking with this.
Agreed, and I like code, but my simple question is that once this building is built, there is only hardscape all around. If there is an exceptional year, where will the water go?
I don't know if we have an exhibit here, but right now, if you think of sort of the layout of the building right now, do we have an exhibit here?
We have the engineering plans.
Wonderful, thank you.
So all I'm saying is that if we are, rather than reducing the capacity of the holding tank, we should increase it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Is that it?
Yeah, keep it just a little bit more to the, keep going down.
Down?
Yeah, you're getting there now.
Sorry, these are big files.
Yeah.
Would you also say that the building that we're building is on a high point, so it's always gonna drain away from us?
Oh. It's a large file. It froze. We'll get it back. What was your question, Trustee Snyder? I apologize.
No, I said, the building is being built on a high point, so it's gonna automate even with the detention part. You're gonna pull water from it. East, I think they went east, am I correct? East and south.
I think I would agree.
Just a little bit.
If you get me to any site plan here, I can talk through it from there. All right, we can hold it right here. So, whoops. So the predominant direction of drainage is from west to east. The lowest point is out in County Line Road in front of the site right now. That's the existing condition. What we're doing here is, before there was a large shallower detention basin there. What we're doing is installing a tank, and that's a concrete tank. And they are modular units, like giant concrete Legos sitting on a concrete slab. So it's an underground chamber underneath the parking lot in this area. We have surface detention in this location, and we have a little bit south of the new entrance out to County Line Road as well. So we have 3 areas that we're using to bring that all together. So a little bit of storage here, a little bit more storage here, and most of the storage in a tank in this location underground. Nobody will see it.
Right, and I don't think the concern is seeing it. I think the concern is to making sure that, you know, a 50-year storm is gonna hold it.
I did look at the events that with the system that we have right now. Now, this unit area figure is not as strict as the strictest, you know, measures that are required. It's only allowed for sites under 5 acres. And if this storm was to hit that right now, it would start to overtop somewhere between a 25 and 50-year storm.
And what does that mean if it does that? Where's the water gonna go, onto County Line Road?
Water's gonna spill to County Line Road.
Into Cook County. That's a joke, people.
But that's a 25-year, we haven't had a 25-year.
You said.
No,
50.
Between the 25 and 50.
It's just gonna go right down County Line Road, Mr. Mayor, all the way down.
Right into Ambriance, right? God, I could just see it. Okay, so what you're telling us, though, is that the engineering, you're pretty confident that you're, well, you can't guarantee it, but you're thinking about a 25 to 50-year storm somewhere.
Well, ultimately, I don't want to overspeak. David here is sort of my partner in this. You have 2 civil engineers here. One is advocating for the economical, cheapest one that I can, very much focused specifically on this site. David has very legitimate perspectives as the enforcement officer for the Page County ordinance. So ultimately, him and I will need to find ultimately a resolution to this.
Right, and I think the board should have the option of, for this, you get this, for that, you get that. So that when it comes down to final approval, the board can decide where it wants to go in terms of bang for buck, okay?
Yeah, and that was written in the staff summary is, I think you should at least entertain bids for one or two alternates. If it comes out with extremely good value dollars-wise for a significant amount of extra stormwater, that may be an option worth pursuing. Whereas if the inverse is true and it's horrible value, you can make that value assessment at that time. We're giving you engineer's estimates at that point, but we think it's appropriate that we at least proceed with what we've got on paper, but you should have the option come bid time to analyze. Because again, part of this is economics. If it's another $1 million, another 10%, I'm betting you're gonna pass, but if it's another 100 grand for 10%, maybe you say yes to that. So I think there's values and ranges there. So that's why our summary says, don't decide now, decide when you have real dollars in front of you to weigh apples and oranges.
But the board will have options. That's.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, then
We're
I
just
feel
saying,
better.
we're just saying, I think we should recommend that you do have options, direct us to have options later.
Right. Okay, and just Janine, it was 3-1 just because there wasn't a quorum, or there was a quorum, but you needed 4 votes.
Correct, yes. So there were 4 commissioners present, which is the bare minimum to have the meeting, and 3 voted in support, 1 voted in opposition.
So that's why it's a
That's why
no
it's a-
plan.
A no
Okay.
recommendation.
All right, so with that, can I get a recommendation for a site plan for an addition to the police department along with variations for parking, landscape berms, and building heights V06 2026 77 County Line Road?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion at the board level? You have any questions, Al?
No.
Any public comment, any questions from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Mattal?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
6-0, the motion passes. Okay, 8C, discussion of village property tax phase-out concept. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a continuance of a discussion that we had at our previous board meeting earlier this year, I forget the exact date. Effectively, what this boils down to is the board has, in previous budget discussions, previous board meetings, continued to provide feedback to staff that they'd like to see additional services be considered as part of future budgets, specifically related to public safety, police, et cetera, as well as capital, things like road program, stormwater, pathway maintenance, things like that. While staff is supportive of trying to make sure that the board's direction is satisfied to the extent possible, we are also taking the position that money is not unlimited. We do not have those kinds of funds to do whatever we want. I think the board understands that. Part of tonight's discussion, though, is, and continuing on our previous discussion, is finding methods to potentially provide input to the board about how further revenues can be raised to support that direction and those visions. And so continuing off of our previous discussions, we've introduced a topic where Burr Ridge could theoretically eliminate its municipal property tax and replace it with a sales tax that is duly allowed to us by the state. Right now, we're at about 0.25% from a non-home rule sales tax perspective, and this would recommend that we move to a 1% non-home rule sales tax. Ultimately, what that means is we'd be netting about $1 million additional revenue from what we're at right now. This would require going from 0.25% to 1%. Using that 0.25% plus the property tax is that net. So we're looking at about a $3.2 million sales tax minus about $2.2 million in existing sales tax and property tax revenue that we have right now. Our overall financial picture is very good. I want to make clear that this is not a tactic to scare the board into thinking that what we can do right now cannot be sustained financially. The services we have on hand are programmed long-term, and we will not have any difficulty providing the services we have right now long-term from a financial perspective. We'll not need to use general fund balance. We'll not need to borrow from the bank to do any of those things. Again, we're very healthy from a financial perspective, from a service provision perspective, but again, in trying to respond to the board's direction to try and enhance that even further, this is proper. One of the things that the board had asked for from the previous discussion was a comparative analysis that's included in your packet. We compared about 15 total communities from DuPage and Cook, as well as a few larger communities from the Will County area. We were also asked to compare business district as well as grocery taxes from the previous discussion. While yes, Burr Ridge is one of the few business communities that do have a business district, one of the things I want to make clear and make sure I drive home to both the board and the public is the majority of our sales taxes do not come from the business district. I know it's a common refrain to say that only retail provides sales tax, and in fact, in any given year, between 7 and 9 out of the top 10 sales taxpayer in the village are some sort of industrial or office zoned business. So we do have a successful downtown. Our business district proves it. We're bringing in almost $800,000 a year, but at the same time, we bring in about $5 million a year from sales tax overall. So just want to put that and reset that as, again, while the downtown's doing great, the village center is very leased up, County Line Square's got a lot of good businesses. At the same time, that's not the center of activity in the village as much as it looks like it is. Remember that all your online purchases, that's why we have big Decembers, a lot of stuff from Amazon at Christmas being delivered to your homes. That generates a lot of sales taxes as well as a lot of wholesale purchases from industrial businesses. So again, just wanted to drive that home. We're also the only community amongst the survey, and it's pretty extensive, that did not incorporate a grocery tax to date. Almost all communities in Illinois that have a fundamental grocery presence have implemented that. I would say we're one of the largest that have a grocery presence that don't have that tax. In addition, the non-home rule sales tax referenced in here does not apply to food. So even if you were to implement this, it does not apply to Brookhaven and it would not apply to grocery taxes or to grocery purchases like you find at Brookhaven. So even if this were implemented, you're not adding cost to the cost of food, no matter what that looks like at this point. We've talked about a few things that we'd like to use the money for, that if it were approved, this is how we would do it, or this is the things that we would generally focus on. And hearing from the board's direction, this is not a staff opinion. This is things that the board has asked us to prioritize either in past workshops, past goal settings, past budgets. And so we're trying to fulfill those wants, needs, and desires that the board has talked to us about in the past. I'm going to pause in terms of the presentation. I'm sure there may be questions at hand. I'll turn it over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Just as one more point of information for the public. So it would be a 0.75% in net. So you hear what he's saying? So if we did this, the sales tax would go up 0.75 point. Okay? From where it is now.
75 cents for every $100.
Right. I just want to be clear on that. All right, I have some thoughts on this, but as always, want to hear from the board first. Any questions?
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Al.
The majority of our sales tax comes from non-business stuff in our downtown area. Where if we raise it that much, do we have any idea of how much of a problem, if any, that we're going to have with the people that support the majority of the taxes?
This has been on the agenda. I don't know. I usually get calls when people want to call, which they're of course welcome to do. I haven't received any, and based on the comparison, we'd be even raising the sales tax 0.75%. We'd just be in the mix, in the middle of the mix, maybe.
I'd say the average right now is 8 in DuPage, 10 in Cook, and if you were to take the entire increase, you'd be 8 in DuPage and 10 in Cook. So you'd be average with your comparables.
And no grocery tax. Not that we have 10 grocery stores. We have Brookhaven, but no grocery tax.
Correct.
And then no property tax. And so I'll just speak since I'm got the floor right now. So I think we should try it. And I mean try it because we can always rescind it or go back to property taxes. But can you find a state amongst the 50 where property taxes are the biggest issue for most people? If this board could tell the residents of Burr Ridge, we have eliminated your village portion of the property tax. Now, in any given year, that's 1.5%, 2% of your bill. So it's not gonna change your life substantially, but it is something that government is doing to make life more affordable. We're going to take and say that there's no need for the property taxes anymore, because we're gonna have, in the mix, sales tax, and we're gonna do just fine based on all the businesses we have outside of the downtown area. And that would be the high grove areas, that would be all the other businesses that you see around town that are not in the downtown. The other reason why I'd like to see it go away is there are still areas that we would like to annex, voluntarily annex. And one of the first things that people come to us about, and when they want to annex into the village, is, oh, well, I don't want to do it because now my taxes are going to go up because they don't pay Burr Ridge property tax. And so Evan and I often say to them, yes, your property tax, whatever it is, it's going to go up a point, 1.5, 2 points. But yes, that's going to happen. And that sometimes is almost a reason not to do it. That would be eliminated. And so if someone, it would make it easier to bring the pockets of area that we talk about, Janine and I and Evan from time to time, bring them into the village more easily because their property taxes are going to stay what their property taxes are. So I think it sends a good message. We're going to do it and still it'll be budget neutral, so we're not strapping ourselves. And the third reason would be that it now eliminates a reason for people not to annex into Burr Ridge. I think it's a good thing for government to do at this point, and we're fortunate to be able to do it. And if we can do it for our residents and eliminate their property tax, their village portion of the property tax, then I think we should certainly do it. Yes, Russ?
Thank you, Mayor. So we brought this up at the last meeting, and it was towards the end of the conversation that actually Trustee Schiappa brought up I believe the concern of we're going to reduce taxes, which I agree about reducing or eliminating our residents' taxes. I'm in agreement. And I think what Trustee Schiappa also brought up or intended is it doesn't look good that we reduce or eliminate those taxes, but we turn around and raise taxes on our sales tax by 3/4 of a point. If we as a village, which we're very healthy financially, if we can start the process, reduce our residents' tax, that would be great. I'm also leery of if we raise our taxes by 3/4 point on sales tax, what does that do to our local businesses like Finkbeiner that have very large sales? Burr Ridge has been a great place to do business in because of our lower tax rate, and this may be a disincentive to our businesses if we raise our sales tax by 3/4 of a point. So again, all for reducing, eliminating our residents' tax, but we're gonna reduce this by $200, but then we're gonna raise this by 3/4 of a point. I don't know if I like that message.
Okay, I have some comments on that, but let's go around. Yes, Anita?
So to piggyback on his point, if we do raise our sales tax by 3/4, will we be in line with the other villages, neighboring villages, or will we be above them
So
as far as sales tax is concerned?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Evan's answer was, the average is 10 in Cook, 8 in DuPage. We would then be 10 in Cook, 8 in DuPage. So we would be consistent with most of the communities in each county, understanding, of course, that Cook County is higher than DuPage.
So to Russ's point, we would still be at the same level as other villages.
Yes,
Same as
yes.
Hinsdale.
Same as Hinsdale, same as Oak Brook. And
Right.
I feel that if you take away the village tax.
Wait, is that accurate?
No.
So Oak Brook is
lower.
Yeah. That's
Oak Brook is lower?
Same as Hinsdale, maybe,
Same as-
lower,
Same as Schaumburg.
Okay,
same as
7.9.
Schaumburg, okay.
But when you pay property taxes, everyone has to. When you purchase something, that's a choice.
And it's also done by non-Burridge people.
Yes, so that's the second point, but at least you have a choice whether or not to purchase. But the property tax you have to pay no matter what.
Right.
So we're eliminating that if we decide to do that.
Right. And to Russ's point, valid, not that it has to, it's not on here to make a decision tonight. Again, I have not gotten any calls, and that usually is indicative of people not being concerned or businesses not being concerned. I get calls from businesses. But maybe we should ask. Okay, maybe we should ask. We're not that big of a village. We do have 500 businesses in Burr Ridge. So we could take a meeting to find out if Finkbeiner, if the musical instrument place, that Quinlan and most of the musical instruments around America come right out of Burr Ridge. So some of those businesses, we should ask and see. They're probably not going to go whoopee, but at the same time, they might say, well, we don't think it's going to hurt us. Maybe they won't go on the record that way, but we can ask them. I just think that if we have an opportunity to get rid of property taxes, even in a small way, it's something government has not done in this state, certainly in any of our lifetimes. And it's a unique opportunity, and sometimes you need to take advantage of unique opportunities. But I think it's a question worth asking as to what our businesses think about it. Right? So how about to be continued? Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did everybody else have comments? Anybody else have comments?
No.
So following up on your point about we should give it a try. If we do give this a try and it doesn't work out, we will continue to levy our property tax for the village, but then abate it, correct?
Correct. Yes,
So-
you need to do that.
So, so we would levy whatever the $1 billion is and then abate that to the residents. And if this didn't work out, we could go back to the way you were currently doing it. So there is a mechanism, so you're telling me there's a mechanism in place to allow us to fall back to should the sales tax dollars tank, or there's great pushback from the businesses in the village and their customers, and look at the sales tax revenues that we projected, we could go back to what we were previously doing, correct?
Right. So
You'd have to eliminate,
So for
you'd
everybody.
have to reduce the non-home rule sales tax, and then you would forego abating.
Correct.
Because you're still gonna have to levy because of the property tax extension limitation laws. PTAL, they've got, if you go down to zero,
It's gone.
you're,
It's gone.
yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
No. Right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Using Finkbeiner and a large purchase of equipment. So for a $100,000 piece of equipment, it's an extra $750 tax. That's it. It's not a lot. I'm buying that piece of equipment again.
and it's usually a business expense, but I think it's worth, I think the point is,
100%.
we should ask. We've had, Finkbeiner's been here forever. We've had some really.
We just
Right.
celebrated it.
So Mars, I don't know if ice cream will go up or whatever. But we should ask. And we don't need to rush into this thing. So we should all feel comfortable that we're doing the right thing. And right now, we're not all comfortable, so let's get some more information. Yes?
Evan, I had asked you today, earlier, if you were able to find out about Countryside, if they levy a property tax.
They do not levy a property tax.
So,
They're also a 10% all-cook community.
okay. And they have some generous sales tax contributors from their multiple car dealerships there.
So I'm gonna get into the weeds a little bit. Actually, so Countryside is home rule, and the non-home rule does not apply to food, groceries, or titled goods.
Title is, okay.
So I'm actually not convinced that Finkbeiner would be really susceptible to this type of sales tax because they sell titled goods.
Right, okay. Thanks for the clarification.
So more information.
Yeah.
Good point.
So Countryside being all cars, but home rule, it would apply to those things.
Thank you.
Yes?
Just another comment, Mayor. I mean, again, I am all for eliminating our residents' property tax as far as the village piece. especially after we saw the Illinois State Toll Road hike of $26.5 billion. I mean, this board could certainly send a great message out there about we're handling our residents' taxes, we're lowering them or eliminating them while the state's killing us.
And they voted so that it automatically increases, so they don't have to come back and do it again. So they really passed on their responsibilities.
Yep.
You'd raise it, you'd look at it in a year or two, and then you decide if you're gonna keep it there or raise it again. But they took,
Easy way out.
they took the easy way out.
I do want to note just one other thing. It's kind of buried in here, but it's under current village sales tax position. I think the premise of this, talking to Mayor, was really on the idea, we had a 20-year-old sales tax that was increased, that was voted in by the voters by about an 80-20 margin, which allowed us to have a non-home rule tax of 0.5%. However, that's currently sitting at 0.25%. So the voters did say you could go to a half, and we never took that other quarter. Just that other quarter would give you about the same net effect. So if it was a concern about being too high, you could take just the quarter, but I couldn't afford, you'd be way in the red if you were to eliminate the property tax and just take the quarter. And so that's really the genesis of this was, voters have already given the board and the village that authority. The state sort of not annulled that, but took it out of play to a certain extent legally. But that was, I think, it's almost so long ago, it's almost forgotten that it happened because it's been the way it's been for so long. So just want to remind the board of that. The voters did vote their own taxes higher than they are now, and we've not opted to take them. So this is an aside.
It did happen 20 years ago. I was sitting here 20 years ago, and it was when we decided to take over the four-leaf clover, and also it was the hotels that were going to benefit from this also. And so the board at that time said, well, can we try a quarter, and then if we need the other quarter, we can always do it, just as was explained. And so we only did the quarter, but yes, the voters told us we could go a half. And a very good board, as we get good boards all the time, a very good board said, well, why don't we try a quarter and see if that'll do it? And it did. So we never did approach the full half point. So, you could spin this, if you want to use a word, that this is a 0.5 point increase because we already have the other quarter. But full transparency, it's 3/4. Thank you for that. So to be continued, we'll, I'm thinking that there's consensus to do this, especially since, it's the message, and I think the message is a good one. And to have a debt-free community with no property taxes makes us a very special place, period. So, okay. We'll keep this on the agenda for the next meeting and get some information in accordance with the questions asked, okay? All right, that'll take us to public comment. Is there anyone that'd like to make public comment? Just come and introduce yourself and have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Rick Wagner. Excuse me. I live in the Oak Hill subdivision in the south end of town, okay? I just have 2 items I'd kind of like to mention here. One is we have at the entrance of our subdivision, which is like 93rd Street and Route 83, there's a sign there, and I know it's not a village sign, okay? And it's been there I've been living there for 43 years, and it was there prior to me coming there, all right? It's probably about a 4-foot by 3-foot sign. It has an oak leaf on it, and it says Oak Hill. Anyway, I made mention to this about 5 years ago, and the board or someone said that it's not a village sign, so there's really nothing we can do about it. But it needed refurbishing, and lo and behold, about a month ago, someone refurbished that sign. I don't know if it was a resident, okay? I don't know if it was a village. I just wanted to thank whoever did it, because it's a nice entrance to the.
You have the answer,
village.
I'll let him finish.
Okay.
No, I don't know who did it, but if it was the village, I want to thank them. If it was a resident, I'd like to put a shout out to the resident who did that, because my next door neighbor, he moved out 20 years ago, but he used to redo that sign every few years.
He's gonna move back now?
Is he gonna move back? I don't think so, he's in Colorado.
Yeah, he's not moving back. All right. Janine, who did it?
So just full disclosure, I am a resident of this subdivision as well. From my personal knowledge, I believe it was a person that lives down on one of the 94th streets.
Okay.
I noticed a local, just one of our residents taking care of the sign, but correct, it is, we do not have an HOA, so there is no one that takes care of the sign,
Right.
just good-natured people take
Okay.
it upon themselves to take care of it.
All right.
Well, if we find out who it is, let's thank him or her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, since you live in Oak Hill, you know, and I'm a neighbor of yours, I thought I'd bring this up.
Get her
So-
cell phone, you can, find out stuff.
I might need that. So, on July 27th, we had the storms of great magnitude, right? So, and there's a reason that our subdivision is called Oak Hill, okay? I live on Jackson Street, which is parallels Route 83. It starts at 93rd Street, it comes back out towards the Clark Station there, and becomes Bluff Road. So, anyway, during the storm, my neighbor across the street has 15 mature 100-year oak trees, okay? And during the storm, a couple of them came across Jackson Street, okay? Made it totally impassable. So, didn't know what to do. I look out my front room window after all the wind damage was coming past and everything. I noticed a car pulls up to, like, right in Jackson in front of my house, surveys that he can't make it across, decides to come up my lawn, okay, all the way around by my lamppost, down my driveway to get around the trees, all right? So I see this, and I'm thinking like, okay, what do I gotta do something here, because I don't want a whole, parade of cars coming down on my front lawn. So I start by calling Public Works, okay? Nick was on vacation that particular week, it was the last week in July. So he left a voicemail, I'm on vacation, but there was no lifeline where to go there. So then I decided, like, okay, I'm gonna start calling. I called the police department, I called a number of extensions. I wanted just someone to come out. I needed a lifeline with a couple of cones or whatever, so people wouldn't be, doing this. So anyway, cars started, backing up because there's 80 homes in that subdivision, okay? I don't know if the south end of Jackson is blocked off, but I got cars now lined up down the street, and nobody knows what to do. So I didn't want to call 911 because, my house wasn't on fire. I'm trying to kind of downplay this a little bit, but it was important. People need to get out of the subdivision, and they couldn't do it, all right? So I go back out. There's a couple of 20-something-year-old kids, they're looking and they're trying to, like, they survey the situation, they're trying to pull a couple, and it's not gonna happen, right? I have a chainsaw. So I told the kids, I said, hey, I'll start up this chainsaw, I'll cut it up, and you guys, haul it away, back, whatever, we'll clear the street. In about 45 minutes, we had the street cleared, okay? And everybody was able to get through. And so, but what I'm saying, I was really frustrated because I ended up calling 911, all right? And it just went nowhere, the volume of calls. 2 hours later, on my cell phone, I get an operator from 911 that calls me and she goes, you still have an emergency? I go, well, no, not now, but what I'm asking for in a situation like this, it would be great to have someone at the village give me a lifeline. Pick up the phone, tell me what I need to do. Because we just took it upon ourselves to do what we had to do to do it. But I was just trying to get a hold of a policeman, to come out and basically to help me out here, put some cones, or I'll cut it up, give me somebody from Public Works. I mean, I know it, everything was going nuts that day, but it would have been reassuring to me if I could just talk to somebody. So going forward, I don't know, if this event is ever gonna happen like this again, but it would be nice if someone in the village was on call to pick up a phone so we can at least talk to someone instead of just getting voicemails and stuff like that, so.
Point noted. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, good suggestions.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other public comment? Okay, that will take us to reports and communications. Your nickname's Rain Out.
Yes, I know. Concert out or rain out.
Right.
Unfortunately, this was less than ideal because we had a few cancellations.
The reschedule, the rain out that was rescheduled was rained out.
Yes, ABBA was rained out, and that was a big,
Right.
a popular one. But now we have Mecca Moves on September 19th, and you should see the signs, they're on the corner of County Line and by the Village Hall. Hopefully we'll have good weather for that, like last year, and the Family Fall Fest is on the same day. So that's something to look forward to and train for. And then we have Deck the Green in November, on November 20th. So that should be very exciting. It's a very popular event with kids. They have Santa there, they have a train there, they have a lot of cool stuff there. So hope to see everyone at these activities. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
We were sitting here at the board level trying to recall the requests for forgiveness that we denied. I looked back at the agendas. On June 8th, we denied the Ambiance edition. On July 27th, we denied the Drew Avenue multiple accessory structures, and tonight we approved the roof for the deck. So in 2.5 months, we've had 3 requests for forgiveness. 2.5 months. So more than one a month.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, I have a few. E-bikes. I don't know, Chief, how we're doing in the village with the e-bikes, but one of my friends in the village, who I've known forever, took the time to write me a very long email about a harrowing experience for him because he in another car, almost hit a youth going through County Line Square. At least when they stopped the children, the kids, they were respectful and said, yeah, our bad, and they'll be better than that. Some of the times that I've tried to talk to children, they've made gestures that I understand are not very friendly. And I was coming over County Line Road going south about 3 weeks ago, and 2 kids in traffic doing wheelies on the bridge. Where are the parents? And, right now we can kind of laugh about it, but there's a tragedy out there waiting to happen if the parents don't get involved. These kids are moving at speeds well over 20 miles an hour, as far as I can judge. And they're at those ages when we were all invincible, and but I'm concerned. As the mayor of the village, I'm concerned when good residents tell me they almost got involved in a situation that was not their doing and could be tragic. I've seen something that is a tragedy in the making, doing wheelies, going over the bridge on County Line Road in the middle of traffic. I mean, all somebody has to do is fall. There is no way a driver is going to be able to avoid them. So please, parents out there, start supervising these children on e-bikes, please. There's a new restaurant in town. Aria's Kitchen, where Walk and Fire was. It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Jan and I had a wonderful dinner. We went there for breakfast. We have our new breakfast meeting place, a very welcomed addition. We needed another breakfast place in town, and so please patronize Aria's Kitchen along with all of our great restaurants. I think that'll be a nice addition to the village. Flock cameras. I was watching, TV, of course, and CBS or somebody had a special on what was happening in another state about the flock cameras and how Flock responded to some of the misuse, clearly misuse of the cameras. But since Ethan Frankel brought that to our attention at our last, or maybe 2 meetings ago, I wanted to assure the public again, having seen what's been on TV, that we are using Flock. We are using it in accordance with the rules, and there'll be no tolerance of it being used unless it's being used consistent with the rules. And it has been very effective to solving crimes around the village and assisting on solving crimes of our neighboring villages. So I just want to assure the public that we're aware of all the benefits of Flock. We support it. And we will make sure it's used appropriately. And then finally, the next meeting will be September 14th, but before that will be the 25th anniversary of September 11th. I can't believe it's been 25 years. I don't know, again, it shows you what exciting life I have. We were watching TV the other night, and there is a laboratory I think in New York still, where there's 1,000 of the 3,000 people approximately 3,000 that were killed 25 years ago on September 11th. There are still 1,000 unidentified bodies, if you will. And they just did identify someone with DNA that's available nowadays that was not available 25 years ago. So it's a very somber date. September 11th in my lifetime is what December 7th was in my father's and mother's lifetime. And to think that 25 years has passed already, and there are 1,000 people still not identified. So just take a moment on September 11th, look around your family and your friends and be grateful for all of that, and understand that there is real evil still in the world. And it happened 25 years ago, and hopefully will never happen again, but that's probably not likely. So with that, yes?
Could I just mention that the candidate packets are available online for anyone interested in running for the open board meeting slots. They're available online. If you need a paper copy, you can pick one up at the interim village hall.
And it's a month earlier this year than it is traditionally for elections, municipal elections. Thank you for that. Anybody else? With that, can I get a motion to adjourn to September 14, 2026 at 6:30?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, Al.